What's up, mi gente? It's Anthony Rosa, the Community Finance Coach, and I'm super excited. Today we have another segment on Money Monday, and I have my friend here, our guest, Andrea Beck. Say what's up, Andrea.
Hello, everybody. So happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to have you on. So, what are we doing here? It's a Money Monday segment with Fresh Start Advancement. And as a finance coach, my goal is to bring you individuals, business partners that I have from different industries and kind of provide you a compacted, just quick, wham bam, thank you, ma'am, with a 15-minute session on a specific topic. And today's topic is actually a really good one. It's planning for retirement. So, Andrea, thanks for coming on. I'm really excited. Why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Well, to start, I am a Colombian, 100% Colombian. And I came here when I was 11 at the year of 2000. And ever since, I was always interested in money. I just didn't want to go or keep on living paycheck to paycheck or seeing the struggle, and so that's where I focused all my career in money. So I did accounting first, and I did quite some years at that. I'll say probably around 10.
Accounting.
And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm bored. Let me go even deeper into the money industry. And so I decided to become a financial professional. So I got licensed, and here we are.
Here we are. And so as a finance coach, my goal is always to inspire, connect, and educate you. And planning for retirement, there's never an early time in our lives to start talking about this. I feel that it's very important that we understand different tips and tricks or remedies. And I think with the scenarios that we're going to talk about today, some of you may connect. So if you're watching on the live, please feel free to like, comment, engage, share, tag a friend, hashtag live. And if you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay. And let's just jump right into it. So planning for retirement, we have something very special. So Andrea, why don't you lead us into this discussion?
Yeah, well, I was sharing with you before a couple of cases that I have going on, and one of them pertains to people that are around our age, that in between the ages of 30 years old and I will say probably 50 years old. And it's the scenario of our parents working their entire life and saving for retirement because they knew about it, because everybody told them about the 401k at work, and they started doing it. And they saved really good money in it, hopefully, right? And now they pass away. What happens with that money? Do they leave it to their spouse? Do they leave it to their kids? And I just came about a scenario where the dad left the money to the daughter. The wife is alive, the brother is alive, but he trusted the daughter to handle money, not the wife, not the son. And so he left all the money to her, and it was just about $1 million.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's quite some bucks. It's quite some
Yeah.
bucks. It's about $1 million, and it's sitting on this 401k. It's obviously, it was his plan for retirement. Unfortunately, he passed away. So now she has all this money, and the question is, well, how do you plan to deal with the IRS? Because if you inherited some money from a 401k like that from a parent, you only have 10 years to deplete the account before the IRS says, okay, we're going to tax you 50% of whatever's in there.
Wow.
So that's part of like the struggle, right? Because now let's assume that she's 30 years old. She has a good career. She went to school. Let's say she's a doctor and she's making really good money, $200,000, $300,000 a year. Now, if you have $1 million and you have to deplete it in 10 years, then that means you can either take it all at once, but that means you would have
Not ideal, right?
$1,300,000, and you would have to pay income tax on that $1,300,000.
Everybody at first would be like, "Yeah, sign me up," and then they're like, "Wait, the tax part.
Yeah.
What did you say?"
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Uncle Sam. Yeah, he never leaves.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, exactly. So, so the question becomes, okay, let's say we spread it over 10 years, $100,000 per year. Now, if we're making 300,000, now that's an extra 100,000. That could bump you up into the highest tax bracket. So all of a sudden, you have to pay income tax on X amount. So, and let's say you do that. Let's say you deal with Uncle Sam, you give them their money, get away from me, done. Now the question is, where do we put that money?
It's true.
Aside from real estate, $100,000 a year. Let's say you give 30% to the IRS, you
Mm,
keep 70.
it's a lot.
Let's say you keep 70. That's
Right.
still $70,000 per year. So what are you gonna do then? Like, what are you gonna do with that money? Are you gonna invest it in real estate? Are you gonna just grow your portfolio in real estate,
It's
or
a
do
good
you put it
question
in?
too. People
Yeah,
put it under their mat or in a safety deposit box,
exactly.
or where do
Yeah,
you put your money? Post right now. Curious.
exactly.
Let's make your money work for you.
So of course, this is no advice whatsoever. You
Of
should
course.
always contact a financial professional before making any move. But there's a number of accounts that you could potentially use for this. And a lot of people have a lot to say about each account. Let me tell you, each account has their own purpose. Each account has their own purpose. So before you put the money into any of the accounts that are on TikTok and social media, like IOL, Whole Life, which one's better, or term versus permanent, or like all of these things that we see on like 15-second clips, before you do any of that, you should really have in mind what your goal is, what your financial goal is. Do I just want to grow my money? Do I just want to grow it and protect it? Like, I don't want it to be in the market. I don't want to lose any money. Like, how do I feel about risk?
Right.
And based on that, then decide, okay, I think this account will do what I need it to do for the purpose that I want it to do. And by the way, one is not better than the other one. All of them have their pros and cons. They really have to tailor to what you like. It's not a cookie cutter for everybody. So the question is, okay, how am I going to deal with the IRS, and where am I going to save my money, and for what purpose? Those are
Right.
really the three questions that you should ask yourself before making any decision financially.
Now, I mean, look, on the inheritance of money, obviously there's an increase in the income. So can you, where, not speaking from a CPA or accountant point of view, but
Mhm.
just kind of understand how that impacts your tax bracket when you qualify for certain discounts or how much you have to pay back. It takes a lot away. It's a lot of money.
Yes, yes. And it's funny because if you say that you're making little money, they also take those away. If you
Right.
say you make a lot of money, they also take those away.
Right.
It's sort of like you have to be in between. You have to be like in a dance in order for you to qualify to like everything underneath the sun with the IRS, right?
Right.
So, it really, you could Google as much as you want, but like I said, you really don't know how that affects your case specifically until you talk to an accountant, a financial professional, or a CPA, so on and so forth. So I would say you have to work with your accountant and your financial professional hand in hand. They have to be a power team. If they don't
100%.
communicate, you could get in trouble in both ways.
I
So
agree. Yeah.
definitely have to have those two people that are able to communicate freely about you and what's the best solution for you in the tax aspect and on the financial aspect for sure.
For those that are watching, we're talking about planning for retirement, and in particular, if you've ever inherited money and what to do with that over time. Um, Too often, Andrea, have you heard, "Oh, you know what? My accountant handles that. My insurance broker handles that," and right, the individual
Yes.
has no idea what's going on. You know,
Yes.
in this case, right? The If someone inherited money and they're kind of playing like stupid a little bit. They're just like, I didn't know. What can happen over time in our conversation to that person that didn't properly plan with that money that they inherited, and what kind of like problems do they face down the
Sorry.
road?
Um, there could be a lot of consequences to everything in life. There's a decision, there's a consequence, right?
Right,
And you don't deal with it. I mean, there could be high penalties with the IRS. They could harness your harness your check. They could do a lot of things in regards to the IRS. And in terms of the financial plan, well, number one, you wouldn't reach your goals. You could spend all the money in a blink of an eye if you've never seen all of that money together. You could spend
True.
all of that money in one sitting, doing all the things that you want. And you know what, Anthony, I actually wanted to ask you a question about this because your specialty is about credit and
Right.
repairing credit and building credit. And for somebody that has never seen that kind of money and maybe is in debt, right? Let's say we stick to the same scenario that we have. Let's say this 30-year-old daughter had debt, not only a mortgage, but they had like $30,000 of debt that they incur on the first 10 years of career from the 20s to the 30s. $30,000 of credit card debt. What would be advice? Would be advice try to just settle with the companies, try to figure out your credit score, because if she wants to invest this money on real estate, she's going to need her credit. So like, how would we advise her? Would be just be like, pay everything off with the first 70 grand that you get? Or should we try to save that money and be like, let's negotiate? What in your perspective, what do you think she should do next?
Well, that's an excellent question. And I think that the first thing that they have to do is understand that credit, you have to play the long game,
Mm.
right? And for someone that's inheriting money and they have debt, whether it's open debt, good debt, or closed debt, bad debt. If it's bad debt, then it's negatively affecting the person. They probably have a higher sense of urgency to want to get themselves out of this situation. And I would encourage them, and for those that are watching, and to always be proactive. And for this scenario, if they have money coming in and they have debt, number one, they have to build a foundation. I would set up a budget plan and understand how much debt do you have in total, so that sometimes when you're, dipping into this, you don't want to make it a habit, I would say. Right? This is the first time you're probably going to ever come across a lot of money like this. And so you don't want to just make it a habit. Okay, let me take from this. Let me take. You want to just do it with a plan one time. This is what I have to pay for this. Be very specific. When you're going to take it out, you do it immediately. Don't wait. Sometimes something comes up, you have a party, you need a new outfit, your car broke down, fulanito, is asking for $100 because whatever, they knew that you were receiving an inheritance.
Mm.
So you want to be very proactive. And I think that understanding that credit is a long game, understanding that if it's good debt or bad debt, understanding having a budget plan, and with that, I'm empowering you that you can understand what's the best way to go.
Mm.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So now let's change the scenario. Let's talk about a person that's just retiring. Let's say they're between the ages of 50 and 70 years old, right? Let's say they are in debt. Now, ideally, you know, and a lot of people probably are going to go crazy in the comments, and that's okay. Go crazy in the comments. You can disagree with me. I'm okay with that. I could take it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
can take it. I'm strong-minded like that.
Uh-huh.
Just don't do F words. That's
Don't
it.
be too
Like,
harsh. Don't be too harsh.
no, just don't do F words. That's it. That's all I ask. But you could be harsh in the comments and disagree.
Okay. Okay.
That's
She's
okay.
asking for it. She's
I
asking
could
for it.
take it. I could take it. But a lot of people say, okay, when I retire, I will be living a lower lifestyle. What makes you say that? You've been waiting your entire life to retire and
Mm.
travel the world and have fun.
Right? These are golden years, right?
You're going to tell me that now that you're retired, instead of spending $5,000 a month, you're going to be spending $2,000 a month. In what real
Yeah, right. You're gonna be
are you
going
living?
to Atlantic City on the bus with your friends. You're gonna be out and about.
And then you're not going to want to travel by yourself. So you're going to take your son and then your daughter-in-law
Grandchildren
and
coming
like
out
the
along the way.
grandkids will
Yeah, everybody.
be there. So let's just settle that we're probably not going to be living a lower lifestyle. We're
You
probably
know,
going to be the same or even a little more.
every retired person I speak to, they're more busy retired than they were when they were working.
Yes, 100%.
Always something.
So let's talk about that because now this person is retiring.
Mhm.
They have 20, $30,000 of credit card debt. They're maybe finishing up with their mortgage, maybe if they didn't refinance their house, right? So what would we do then, right? Because we're gonna retire, we're probably gonna be in Social Security. If we're a state employee, we may be on pension, maybe. Um, but then what? We would have to rely on our 401k, 403b, 457, whatever else we saved aside from Social Security and pension. So if somebody's in debt,
Mhm.
what would be the best option to get rid of that debt before they retire or even while they're on retirement? Like what would
That's an
be their
excellent question. And I have so many cases right now with individuals that are pre-planning for retirement, from age 62 probably to that 45 range. And if it comes to me that they didn't prepare or save enough, that's the first one. And that's kind of scary, and it's kind of, I have to understand I have some years on them, so I need to start putting myself the pedal to the metal, right? And so if they have debt and they're planning and they're close to that retirement age, they have to start protecting their credit. Super important.
So we hold on. What
Yeah.
does that mean, protecting their credit? What does that mean?
So let's say they have credit cards, right? Average credit card is charging near 29.99% APR. And if you're carrying a balance, that means that you're paying interest on that balance. And that interest, if you take into consideration all the credit cards that you're paying and you compound that for a year, it could be a few hundred, it could be a few $1,000s, right? For me, that's a few vacations or some gifts for my kids that I'm thinking, right? So for you out there that are carrying debt, I would love to set up a meeting with you. It's a complimentary call, and we would review your credit. I would set up a credit card strategy, and I would qualify you to see if we can get you into a better consolidation plan. But ideally, let's say if you have $18,000 of credit balance with Bank of America and you're paying 29%, and your minimum payment is $600 a month, but $450 of that is going to interest. That means it's $150 a month that's going to principal. If you have $150 a month of principal and you have an $18,000 of balance, you do the math. It's going to take you a long time to pay that off, just covering that principal balance. So if you're paying that $600 monthly minimum and you're retiring and your income level goes down a little bit and you're expecting your expenses or your lifestyle to adjust the same, which we just clearly said it won't, then you're not going to be able to satisfy or live within your means. And at the end of the day, what I mean by protecting your credit is living within your means, having that budget plan, not paying interest, and paying within your cycle closing date.
100%. And you know what worries me even more? That when people are retiring, most of them don't know what their options are.
Right.
And it's the most common questions of people that come to me are, okay, well, I'm retiring in a year. So I have this 401k. So what do I do? Do I just leave it there? Do I move it? If I do move it, where do I move it to?
It's a good question.
And really the questions can only be answered by you, truly, obviously with the guidance of a financial professional, but
Right.
the questions will have to be answered by you. Like, number one, know the pros and cons of leaving it in a 401k. It's going to continue to do what it has done your whole entire career, up and down with the market. That's not going to change just because you're not contributing money into it anymore, just because you left your job. That's not, the rules of the 401k are not going to change. So if you leave your money there, what are the risks? Well, the risks are that now that you're leaving your same lifestyle, but with little less income, you're probably going to use that account to supplement your income every month
Right.
and be okay. But that's all well and all if it's left on a 401k and the stock market does it 2008, where it went down like 38 points in one day. You
Imagine
all of a sudden don't have $1 million. You all of a sudden don't have $500,000. You all of a
it could
sudden
go
don't
down real quick.
have $100,000. It could go down really quick. And then what's the consequence of that? Well, all of a sudden, you're going to have to go back to work in the next 5 to 10 years because that supplement got depleted way faster because you lost a lot on that one day. So now the question becomes, okay, what are my options? Well, the options is to move it. To move it to what? Well, to move it to an account where you can still grow your money, of course, but make sure you're protected from any loss at all because you don't have the time nor the income to make up for that loss, right? And then number 3, make sure that I'm able to get an income from my entire life. Sort of like if I want to create a second pension with my 401k,
Right.
I could do it. But also make sure that that pension that you create is adjusting with inflation. And like we said at the beginning, there's no financial advice in this short amount of time.
Right.
But there is an account that can do all of that.
Tell me more.
So the account is called fixed index annuity. And usually the one that has the ability to give you an income for life without losing whatever you have on your account already, and that's able to adjust with inflation, has a rider in it that's called an income rider. Now, this account exists. Whether or not it's suitable for you depends on your plans for retirement. What are you planning to do during that retirement? What are your financial goals now that you're retired? What do you need easy access to that money? Do you not? So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered again before you make a move. But I think the main point that we want to come across today is that there are solutions for the concerns that are taking your sleep away.
Right.
You just have to contact the right people to do so. And so that's why I love Anthony, because he's always ready to help people. And yes, we're all here to make money, but he's always looking to help people regardless of what their situation is and figure out a payment plan or something to be able to his services and become better in your credit. And so am I. Like, all of my consultations are free. All of my advice is completely free because I'm also here to help people as well figure out like what the next steps are and not make those mistakes that you're not going to be able to come back from.
Absolutely. Who's on your team for those that are watching, and engaging with us? I appreciate you. Thank you for watching and taking a moment today on a Money Monday, to listen to us talking about retirement and these different scenarios. I was kind of excited and scared at the same time. For those that are watching, please like, comment, engage. Obviously, we're here to provide value, and we're suggesting, I put multiple disclaimers up, and I'll say it now: always seek financial advice from a professional. But I have a question. Who's on your team? Who's giving you this professional advice? Who's helping you, making sure that you're planning for just to enjoy these years of your life, right? Andrea, we're kind of rounding third base. It's kind of bittersweet, right? We're going to the final thoughts portion of the segment. And here is kind of where we wrap up our remedies all in one. And, so from your experience as a leader in the community, what are your final thoughts on this very important topic, planning for retirement?
I think that regardless of whatever age you're on, the time to plan for retirement is right now. If you're 20, plan right now. If you're 30, plan right now. If you're 40, plan right now. If you're 50, plan right now. If you're 65, 70, 80 years old, definitely plan right now, right? So it's just definitely start now. Don't wait until you're of certain age to start working on that.
Don't wait. That's great. And for me, we know, especially when we're talking about debt and debt management, you want to make sure that you have your budget plan. You want to set up a credit card strategy. We talked about what's your goal financially, right? If you are in debt, give yourself a timeline. I want to pay this off in the next 15 months. Set up a strategy. And if you need help doing all of that, you can always reach out to us, leave a comment, send us a direct message. Um, I always like to finalize the meeting. Okay. Every Money Monday, we're going to have a quote of the show. We're talking about retirement, of course. So, retirement is not the end of the road, it is the beginning of the open highway. I hope you enjoyed this segment on Money Monday. Thank you, Andrea, for coming on.
Thank you
Go
for
in
inviting
grace,
me.
go in peace. This is Anthony, the community finance coach. Peace out.